Hey guys, Marmalade here, and I am very excited to do this video for you. It is an unboxing of a brand new tent I got. If you follow me at all, you know that it is October 2023 right now. I finished the PCT this summer, but I started that way back in 2019, but I've had the same tent, the Zpacks Triplex tent, which is a 3-person tent, since the spring of 2020. So I've had it for 3 full seasons, 3.5 really. And it's been great. I've had no complaints except for it's more tent than I need. It's big. Sometimes in the Sierras it was hard to find spaces with the footprint and the tie outs and everything and the space it needed. And although it was only about 26 ounces or something, it was more weight than I needed. It was more tent. So I had no complaints, worked great. I just been trying to downgrade to a smaller, lighter tent. It's hard when you're tall like me, 6'3". If you watched me right before I got on trail this year to finish the PCT, I bought a Durston X-Mid Pro 1, the DCF model, and it was too tight for me. I tried the Zpacks Tarp tent, but it was not enough for me. I borrowed a friend's Plex Solo, which is a Zpacks 1-person tent. It was too tight for me. So I've had a hard time really finding one that's light, that I personally like, that I fit and I don't feel too cramped in. I've got what I think is the cure for that. This tent is brand new, and we're gonna do an unboxing here and show you and set it up and give you my first impressions. We'll give you some specs and measurements on it too. But I think this is gonna hopefully cure all the issues that I had and what I couldn't find in their previous tents or in anybody else's tents. I haven't tried them all, but so far the ones that I have tried, I haven't had any luck trying to find the exact right match. So let's open this up. I have a cutter, and whenever you're cutting DCF, you got to be super careful, and I'm always paranoid about this, but let's be very careful here. Pretty excited. I even looked on YouTube. There's not many gear reviews of this yet, so this will be one of the first ones you see. And what is it? It is a Zpacks tent, the Offset Duo 2. My first 2-person tent in a long time. It's 21.7 ounces. I got the spruce green, which is what I had on my triplex. It's a little thicker material than the blue. I could have gone 2 ounces lighter and it'd been 19.7, but I figured for 2 ounces lighter, this thing, my old tent, really held up and took the beating really well. So let's go through what it comes with real quick. Oh, also, I kind of left this out. I take it for granted, but it did cost a lot of money. I'll put the prices for everything up here on the video. But I got the matching DCF ground sheet. This is 3.2 ounces, and the tent is, what did I say, 21.7. So whatever that is, 21, 24, so a little over, I think around 25 ounces. So I'll put the exact ounces here. But yeah, I have the matching ground sheet for it. So we have both of those. So yeah, let's open this up, and I can show you there's a couple other things it comes with. So it comes with a nice stuff sack. The setup instructions are there too. I think I've done enough that I don't need it, but you never know. It's interesting how they wrap this up. It's always nice when you get a new one because it's so compact and light. Oh, that's what I was looking for. It says 2 extra things I wanted to show you. When we set this up, it's got for the footbed a cup that I'll show you how this works. It comes with it. Comes with a pre-measured line. And let's see how we can undo this here. All right, so I had to get this plastic off there. It was on there pretty good, but it comes with a 32-inch stake to pull up the foot part of the tent, which I'll show you has to do with that cup. But it's kind of neat. I just noticed that, let's see if we can take this off too. It comes with a little DCF thing with a stretchy thing, so it keeps it in place, so when you roll it up at the end of the day. And just simple. It weighs 1 ounce too, by the way. So it doesn't weigh much. So it adds 1 ounce to the tent, but it's 32 inches. All right, so let's set up the footprint first, and then we'll go with the tent. All right, guys, that was very quick. What I like about this tent is it's not as big as my 3-person tent. It's not so tight like the 1-man. It's a 2-person tent, but what I like about this one is that the tent, when you're inside of it, is 50 inches at the head, so it's made to fit 2 25-inch wide air mattresses. You know how air mattresses taper at the bottom, so the tent is 50 inches wide at the head, so it fits 2 mattresses, and it tapers to 44 inches at the feet. So what I like is a single person in the tent, I'm gonna have, if I have I do have a 25-inch wide mattress because I go with the wide one. I've got another couple feet, 25 inches. I have a foot or so on each side, so I have just enough room for my gear, but not too much room. And that's what the problem I had with the triplex. I had too much room. Sometimes things are so far away from me, I had to get out of my quilt and go over to the bottom corner of my tent to get things. So this will be, everything will be in reach. And this is, like I said, it's just a little under 50 inches wide at the head and a little under 44 inches at the foot, and it's 3.2 ounces, and it costs $125. All right, that was pretty straightforward. It's very similar to my triplex, just a little bit different with the footbed. But basically, what I always do is I stake out the four corners as loose and long as the lines can be possible. These are actually much shorter. They're probably half the length of my triplex. It used to be really long. But stake out the four corners, then I put the two poles up, stake them out, and then I pull this tight. I get the top part here tight first, and that gives you a solid foundation to pull the four corners tight. And I kind of work my way around. I usually do maybe 3/4 of the way up here by the head, and then I do most of the way on the foot, and then come back here and just tighten and cinch it and kind of adjust it. Oh, we got one more. I forgot the one here. So I use 6 of the MSR groundhog stakes that are more substantial for the four corners and the two doors, and then I use titanium shepherd hooks just for the head and the foot. They're strong, but they don't need as much. So this will help pull the foot out a little bit, the head out a little bit, I mean. So yeah, I mean, first impressions are pretty amazing. One of my issues when this was on the duplex or triplex, like my tent, it's in the center, and when it came down, it was a much more gradual slope, and so my feet were always touching, and I'd get condensation on my foot box, and my face was literally, when I was raised up on my air mattress, raised up, I was just inches from the roof up by my head. So it was always, and then I'd have to cinch, kind of scooch down to get in the center tent to sit up to change clothes and do things in the morning and pack my pack. They've moved that from the center of the tent towards the head now. So instead of this being this way, it's more up, which is reduced how close that is to your face. So that's going to solve that problem. My other problem is this tent is no longer than my triplex or the old duplex, but they've thought of a way to get the inside of that much higher, which I'll show you on the inside. So now my feet won't be hitting. So I am 6'3". This is a little over 7.5. It's 7 feet, a little over 8 inches long, so a little over 7.5 feet. So I'm going to have probably 14 to 15 inches longer than my body. And like I said, about a foot on each side of me. If I sleep on one side, I'll have 2 feet on one side. The first impressions are great. Some of the things that are new to this tent that I really like, they've added 2 vents for, one-piece tents tend to create your body heat when it's cold, so this will help alleviate some of the condensation with a vent here and a vent on the other side. Another thing I like that's new that I really like is actually these magnetic doors. So I used to have toggles, which wasn't bad, but sometimes when you're on the inside of the tent, you're trying to undo your doors and roll them down. It was hard from the inside. These are magnetic now, so literally just magnets. You can do that from the inside. Also, what I understand is the mesh does the same thing. Yeah, mesh has its own magnet to keep the mesh up. So you have that on both doors. And another new thing is zippers. So keep it much tighter, during a storm or weather, where before you had one clasp in the middle. I didn't mind the clasps. They're pretty easy. Makes it lighter too, but the only thing with zippers is, zippers have a tendency to fail. So that's the only bad thing is, if you get too tight or you get too much grit and grime in there, especially on trail, they could fail. So that could be a bad thing. But yeah, so you have a zipper on both doors. And what I like now is by moving this from the center to here, you've created a vestibule here on both sides. So if your backpack or a piece of gear is really wet and you don't want it in the tent with you, you can put both doors down. I'm going to show you on the other side what the door looks like with it down. I have it down on the other side. But when these are both down, you've created a vestibule. Even if it wasn't down, it's a light rain or something, you could put your pack, let's say, under here and keep this open for ventilation. So it gives you more options now, which I just really, really like about this new design. All right, so here's those vents I was talking about up there, and they're on both sides. You get the zipper door here, and that creates this little vestibule here if you want to put something there. If it's really bad out or it's really cold, I put both doors down to create more heat inside. Here is how this works, this cup here. You could use a stick too. This comes with the 32-inch stick. It only adds an ounce. You could, if you're kind of a ounce, like a gram weenie, you could get rid of that. And there's just like I know when I was with No Filter or the Codgers, he just uses a stick, but you have that if you need it. But in effect, I'll show you when we get in the inside. I'm not going to jump ahead, but it creates a lot more room inside. There's a profile picture. Here's when it's completely closed. See the zippers there? Really nice. Room for extra gear there. And as I was saying, these cords are much shorter. I pulled it tight and I've only had 3 inches there. These used to be like on my triplex down to here. So it just created, and you wanted to have as far out when before you tighten it to create the angle. So it's just better now. You can see here, this is the head end. It comes with a strap here. You put this in and it goes to both. You can cinch it tight here. It's a much better size for me anyway. Just struggle with getting one that's big enough. Here's the magnet doors. It's just a strap like this. When you're not using it, it magnets to itself, but it's like that. Now I want to show you this door. In the past, my triplex, I don't know if I have a picture of it, but I'll put it in here if I do, but it was a rainbow door, so it was 36 inches all the way up like this inside that mesh, and it was a big mesh door, and it would just fall down, but I hated that it was in the dirt all the time. I was always putting it back in the tent. When it gets in the dirt, the problem with that is, of course, then you get dirt in the tines, and then from, when you're through hiking and you're using day after day after day, and you're zipping the tent up, 5 or 10 times a day, that's when the zipper can fail and catch or whatever and just come apart. So they've kind of solved that now. So now they have what they call an L1. I can't do this one. Hold on a second. There we go. So now you have an L zipper. So now, especially if it's calm, it's windy right now, but it would just hang there. So it's never in the dirt. You can roll this up, and there's the magnet clasp. So you roll this up. You can have this up like this. All right, let's go inside and show you. Okay, now we're in the tent, of course, and I use the magnet for the mesh door. So now you have them both open if you need that, if the weather's good. This is up high. This keeps the bathtub up. But once you put your gear and stuff in here, this pulls it down, and that'll be where the condensation can roll off this and right out the mesh. That's what this mesh gutters are for on both sides. It doesn't look right now because I don't have any gear in here, and my body weights, except for me laying here, is not here. But yeah, normally, let's see if I can do this. When this has all the stuff in it, then when the water is condensation, will go down here on the inside and go right out, so you won't get in the tent. One thing I just noticed, it always has come with some DCF repair tape in case you get a hole in the ceiling. It's come with 2 zippers too, in case the zippers fail or something. I guess you can put new zippers on, so that's kind of neat. So that'll go in my repair kit that I carry with my first aid and stuff. So that's in there. So there's 2 pockets there. Okay, so I want to show you how much room I have. Before, and I have pretty big feet, I now have like over a foot of room now. And by pulling that out, instead of it coming this way and getting close to, remember, I'm going to have a quilt over my feet. So that's where it poofs up here. And now by this being pulled up, the roof goes more straight up, like this, straight up instead of like this. So it doesn't hit your foot box as much. And this is where I happen to be placed. I have another foot from my feet to the back of the tent, and about over a foot up this way. And then I don't know if I can show this very well or not, but remember I'm 6'3", and I can't see myself right now, but I have plenty of room here. I have about another foot here, and I'm just laying randomly. Like I could probably scooch up even more and have more room for my feet. But yeah, you can see here. Plenty of room here. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. So it's a much more vertical tent and less low, and it's like the overall height is the same. What I also like is when you look at, remember the poles used to be in the middle of the tent, now they're over my head, so this angle is much steeper going up, so it's not going to hit my head like I said before. But also when I just sit up, I can just sit up. I'm now in the height of the tent naturally. Before I'd have to sit up and be careful not to hit my head and get water all over my head, and then scooch to the middle of the tent to pack up like I said before. So yeah, it's a lot of thought put in this tent. I'm really, really hoping this tent works as well as I think it's going to work. All right, so as I was saying, that the head of this is 50 inches wide, and it narrows down, tapers to 44 inches, so 6 inches narrow at the feet. But remember, my mattress is 25 here, and I don't know the width of it, but it narrows also, so it's going to naturally narrow. So the space I have, about a foot on each side, will stay continuous all the way down with the air mattress I have now. But no, I mean, it's really impressive. I'm really impressed by what I'm seeing here. they've copied some ideas from other companies. They've learned from their other tents. They've learned. I'm hoping they're listening to some of us. I've given feedback. In the past, a couple years ago, I told them they need to make a long duplex, and they made the duplex XL. So, you know, I think they do listen. There's, like I was saying, if you need a vestibule spot. And let's see how much room I have. Yeah, I have about a foot. So in every case, I have about a foot, whether it's a foot from when I'm laying centered in the bottom of this tent, I have about a foot from my feet to the end of the tent, and I have a foot from my head to the end of the head end, and I also have a foot from my face to where the top of the underside of the tent is. And when I sit up, I have about a foot. So that's plenty of room. You know, sometimes when you only have 2 inches, you know, you're constantly hitting things and getting condensation on you. And that was the problem I had with the Plex Solo and some of the one-person tents, the Altoplex they make. Is it's so tight, I fit in it like a coffin, but if I moved, boom, I got water on me. And it just wasn't comfortable to be that tight. So this seems to be the right mix of a room, all the room I need, but not too much. And that was kind of what I thought with the triplex. There's nothing wrong with it, just too big of a tent for me. And I'm gonna save, this tent is 21.7. My old triplex was 26, if not more. My old ground sheet was 4.3 ounces. This one's 3.2. So I'm going to do the math and put it on the screen here. I'm going to put up here, this is my individual weight of my old tent, my triplex, and its ground sheet. All right, so now here's the weight of my new tent, this tent, the Offset Duo. Here's the ground sheet, and here's the overall weight of the two. And effectively, I'm saving this much weight. And you know, I've preached and preached about when I've gone lighter. This last year when I got on the PCT, my base weight with everything was 12 pounds, not including food and water. And when I started, I was 18 to 20 pounds. So I've really come a long way. Of course, it costs money. For me, I've told you many, many times though, it's weight, but it's also the physical size of stuff. This tent is not little. It's not a one-person tent. When I'm talking when it's rolled up and packed up, but it is smaller than my triplex. So it's going to once again take smaller space in my backpack. And the ground sheet's slightly smaller. I need the same amount of stakes for this tent. So remember, I need the 6 main stakes, the MSR groundhogs, and then I have 2 titanium shepherd hooks for the head and foot end. And that's all I need. That's all the tie-outs are. You need 8 stakes for this thing. When I'm doing a long distance hiking, I generally bring 1 or 2 extra stakes. I usually bring like 2 titanium shepherd hooks. They can take the place of an MSR groundhog if I lose one, I forget one somewhere. They're strong, but they're light. So I usually bring 2. I did this last summer that I just finished doing the PCT. I did, what was it, 963 miles, and I had 2 extra shepherd hooks. I never lost a stake, so I never had to use them, but they're very light, weigh like a half an ounce together. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the inside of this tent. It's a beautiful tent. Remember, I got the green color instead of the blue because it's a thicker denier or material, so it really held up well for me. It takes the beating really well, and it's only 2 ounces heavier than the blue material. All right, as I was winding down this, I actually saw something that I didn't know this tent came with, but it's pretty cool. Like this. It's got this little thing, and you put the bottom of the pull through it, and there's a loop on the ground sheet. I can do this. And that keeps, let me see if I can show you this. So that keeps this pulled out so this part, middle part, doesn't get all loose. So yeah, isn't that cool? All right, guys, I'm really impressed with this. I hope you are too. Obviously, the proof is in the pudding when I take it out there and try it. But all the issues that I had with pieces and parts of their different tents, they seem like they've addressed in this one. One of the things I forgot to mention was the ground sheet was 125. Remember, this is DCF. The tent is, because I got the green material, which is a little thicker and heavier duty, it was a little more. I think the blue material, this tent is $769 right now, October 2023. I paid $799. I chose a time when they had a 2-day sale where you get $50 off a tent, so I saved $50. So that kind of made me kind of validate getting the tent and getting the thicker material so it'll last a little longer. And I like the green color. I feel like when you stealth camp, it kind of hides in the trees a little better than the blue, but it's just my personal preference. But I'm gonna kind of do just a tour. I think I was looking at my notes. I think I missed a couple specs and measurements and things. So I'm gonna do just a little final tour of this and no talking. I'll just put the specs up on the screen. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. as I said, I hope you enjoyed that. There weren't, when I searched, there weren't many reviews on this tent yet, so I hope you enjoyed that. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm building this channel. It's growing pretty fast now, especially getting off the PCT, so please consider subscribing, liking, hit that notification bell in the upper right if you want to be notified every time I have a video. Of course, when I've had this like 50 to 100 nights, I'll do another review and just tell you my thoughts on what the pros and cons of it are. So far, it's addressed most of the things that I personally am concerned about, so I'm not too worried about it. But I hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, we'll see you down the trail.